Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Julian Grace. 100 acres of land is burning in Harnett County this evening. The fire that started yesterday is now about 95% contained. While there are several large wildfires burning across Carolina, this one is near the Moore County line, southeast of Cameron. That's where WRAL's Heidi Kirk joins us live now. And Heidi, you were able to go out with some crews today. What are they saying about this fire?
Well, Julian, officials here in Harnett County are working to contain the final 5% of this fire. Now, take a look this way. You're going to see how they're doing that. Now, this is called a backburn. This is a controlled fire that was actually set by officials here that will help to contain that original wildfire. Now, we've been here about an hour watching the flames start to go down, and they say this is one of the final steps they're going to be taking to contain this fire here. Now, go ahead and take a look at the video on your screen. We just shot this video within the last 2 hours. We met several people that watched this fire late in the day yesterday creep toward their homes as fire officials work to contain it and fight those flames. Many of them telling us it's the first time they've seen anything like this. Fire creeping toward their homes. Take a listen to what one person had to say about what he experienced.
So I looked over and just seen a bunch of black smoke. And I seen it coming over that way and the wind was pushing. I was like, if that winds up keeping on going into that field, which is where all the tall grass was, I was like, that's going to catch up. And sure enough, it did.
Now, fire officials here in Harnett County are urging one of two things. They're saying to make sure that when the conditions are right for a wildfire, that you don't burn anything yourself. Now, of course, they are still investigating the cause of this specific fire. We're going to continue looking into that and asking questions in the days to come. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Harnett County.
Not far from where Heidi is tonight, but across the border into Moore County, a large fire was burning off Firefox Road. The fire destroyed several vehicles, a camper, a tractor, and part of an outbuilding, but fortunately, no one was hurt. Firefighters were using foam to smother the flames, and that's the white substance you see right there covering the burn areas. You see that? Now, crews at the scene requested additional fire units, including a plow from the Forestry Service and a tanker task force truck. Now, Firefox Road was closed to travel in both directions earlier today. A 400-acre fire continues to burn in western North Carolina. Now, this right here is on the South Carolina state line. Voluntary evacuations are underway in Polk County as crews work to contain the fire. Now, the fire department and rescue team there said the fire was started by a downed power line along Highway 176 near Tryon.
It made the sky such an odd color. I was going for a walk and it turned this odd yellow color, yellow and red.
I mean, it's bad enough from Helene, but now we've got this, and the forest, it's going to be really bad.
Several fire departments are assisting with the firefight, including the North Carolina Forest Service. Firefighters are conducting airdrops and back-burning operations as well. Work is underway to protect threatened structures. There is a shelter for evacuees at the Polk County Senior Center in Columbus. The fires aren't just the trouble that's going on in North Carolina this weekend. First responders across South Carolina have descended on Horry County to help battle a massive wildfire. Residents from several neighborhoods were forced to flee their homes earlier before being allowed to return home this afternoon. We spoke with the former WRAL News employee and current WMBF reporter Stephen Schlink today. He's been covering the fire all weekend, and he says firefighters were moving fast to save lives.
All of a sudden, all these first responders really crowded into that area, started going door to door and pulling people out of their homes, people's pets out of their homes, making sure to get them to safety. We knew that this was a possibility, as y'all are dealing with as well. Just the conditions are there for it. We just never expected to see something this big.
Had to be very frightening moments. An Horry County spokesperson says there have been no reports of homes or other structures being lost in the wildfire. Damage assessments are expected to begin tomorrow.
And here in the WRAL Live Center, let's talk fire containment statewide. I do want to hop back to Harnett County. We'll zoom in on that here. As you take a look at this, again, that is a 100-acre fire. This indicates only 90% contained, but as Heidi mentioned, it's at about 95. Now let's go further east over in Johnston County. We're seeing fewer surrounding fires than we did 24 hours ago, but 2 acres burned there, 100% containment, but it is still marked as active. Now give me a second here. We're going to move further west over in Polk County. Of course, this probably being the most significant fire in the state. That is 400 plus acres, 0% containment. That acreage has increased over the past 24 hours, but that containment is still staying the same.
Okay, thanks, Megan. Well, looking ahead this week, we'll see a little change with some wet weather expected midweek. Meteorologist Anthony Baglione is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what we need to watch out for in the coming days. Anthony.
Julian, we desperately need some rainfall with those fires to kind of tamper things down a little bit. But let's talk about our next weather maker that's coming in Tuesday into Wednesday. And this leans actually more so toward Wednesday, I would say. But I'm going to start us off there at 5 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. What we are watching with this system is a small potential for some strong to severe storms as it comes in. There's a look at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. Most of that rain still back to our west. We go ahead to the morning commute on Wednesday. I think it's potentially going to be pretty wet for us with some scattered showers. You notice, though, this model not picking up on any necessarily bright oranges or anything in our neck of the woods. That would be good as far as a lack of severe potential. And then it continues to push offshore there by about 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. We're going to walk through this system, though, much more in detail, Julian, and talk about who could see that potential severe risk here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Anthony. We have new information today about a pedestrian death we first reported as breaking news just last night. Raleigh police have identified the woman who died, and they also charged the driver. This happened on New Hope Road in Raleigh shortly after 8 p.m. Police say 55-year-old Gian Lamy was walking across the road when she was hit by a vehicle driven by 42-year-old Mark Baltimore Jr. Lamy was not in a crosswalk. Police charged Baltimore with failure to reduce speed to avoid a collision and misdemeanor death by motor vehicle. 2 brothers accused of murdering a Wake County deputy will appear in court tomorrow. Alder and Arturo Marin Sotelo have a hearing to separate their cases rather than trying them together. Now, this comes as Alder was extradited back to the U.S. from Mexico last week after escaping custody in Virginia in 2023. The brothers and 2 other siblings face charges for the killing of Deputy Ned Bird during a traffic stop in 2022. Arturo claims it was Alder who pulled the trigger. Look for updates on this story tomorrow on WRAL. There's a new tool, and it launches tomorrow in North Carolina that officials hope will make it easier and faster to bring missing children home. Yes, we desperately need this tool. This comes after 2 high-profile Amber Alerts in the past week. WRAL's Eric Miller explains the benefits of a new database.
Inside the North Carolina Center for Missing Persons, Marissa Moyer has high hopes.
We've never had this before.
The center's director, she gave us a sneak peek of this.
Missing Child Repository.
It's a centralized database, including names and photos for missing children in North Carolina. Moyer's team built it, hoping to make reunions between parents and missing kids as simple as the click of a mouse.
They don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops or look through different databases. They can go to the website, say, okay, this child's about 2 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes, put those descriptors in and narrow down to anyone who would meet that criteria.
Moyer says there are several advantages to this public database. For one, it makes names, agency information, and photos easy to find for families and members of the public.
There's been a few cases where there have been some small children, toddlers, who have been located but can't verbalize their name, who their parents are.
And children also won't have to qualify for an Amber Alert to be listed here. A potential boon after this last week when 2 different teenage girls disappeared, one in Harnett County, the other in Siler City. In the case of the Siler City girl, she was missing for an entire week before officials decided she qualified for an Amber Alert.
It gets the word out.
There are still challenges with this system. The data is only updated once a week, and the center doesn't always have access to photos.
That is one of the biggest things that would be helpful, would be photos.
But Moyer says the system is still a major step in the right direction for some of the youngest and most vulnerable North Carolinians. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
A drop in domestic violence. That's the encouraging announcement from the Fayetteville's police chief. Coming up, the new collaboration with one group that he credits for the crime decrease. Plus,
it was like seeing a unicorn. I mean, it was really something special.
so what did he see? A rare albino deer spotted in Raleigh. The man who saw the animal shares more about what the moment meant to him and his family. All of that next. Here's a shot of Franklinton on this chilly evening. No one's really out. A couple of cars parked there, though. Hope they're watching us. Welcome back. Fayetteville saw a quarter of their homicide murders come from domestic violence cases in 2023. But now cases are down. Let's talk more about the numbers. Police Chief Kim Braden is crediting a collaborative between his department and the Phoenix Center. The victim advocacy group began deploying counselors within 48 hours of incidents. Domestic violence calls have gone down 4.5%. Braden says this also encouraged the police department to make some changes that contributed to the decrease.
We retrained our entire department on our domestic violence policy and our domestic violence response.
Now, if you need help, the Phoenix Center services are free, and you can call that number that you see right there on the screen. I will slow it down, 910-485-7273. Once again, that number is 910-485-7273. North Carolina elects judges in partisan elections just like any other politician. But a new push at the state legislature would take the politics out of judicial elections. It suggests more party labels on the ballot for judges. Democrats are pushing for that change, but the legislature is currently controlled by Republicans. Republicans made judicial elections partisan a decade ago, and they've won almost every major judicial race since then. Our NC Capitol team dug into the debate over how judges should be chosen. Head to WRAL.com to read what they found out. For the first time in weeks, the Wake County Animal Center will resume pet adoptions tomorrow. So many people are excited about this. Dogs, cats, and small animals have been quarantined since the shelter closed on February 7th. That was because of a bacterial outbreak which killed 3 dogs. All available dogs have completed treatment and are clear for adoption. Stray animal intake and other owner surrenders will resume at a later date, which has not yet been announced. All right, that was a very rare sighting in a Raleigh neighborhood, and I want you to see it closer. WRAL viewer Gary Diallo spotted this albino deer in Leadmine Road earlier today. It was in the area there. He says he and his family were out enjoying the time outside when a group of deer came out of the woods. Diallo says they thought it was a dog at first, but then they quickly realized they were seeing something extraordinary.
My daughter-in-law, Letty, and her sister, Chloe, thought it was like seeing a unicorn. I mean, it was really something special. They felt special that they were able to witness that. And my son and I, the same thing. I mean, it was just truly a magical moment watching it emerge and walk around like it was, just meant to be there at that time.
Now, the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission says there are only 1 in 30,000 deer that are albinos. Now, with an estimated 1 million deer across our state, that means there would be only about 33 albino deer in the wild. Now, we want you to see more on what's going on in your community. Go to WRAL.com/reported to share your pictures and video. We will share them on our website, social media, and during our newscast. Anthony, we are shaping up for a chilly night.
We are certainly, Julian, but our temperatures the next couple days, at least during the afternoons and probably the mornings, are going to start to go up. So I know today was chilly compared to yesterday, but we're kind of going to be on the upswing the next little while. Let's talk about where we sit, though. Around the triangle, we're in the upper 40s, right around the low to mid 40s for our northern counties. At 47 in Fayetteville, right about 45 in Southern Pines. Looks like Goldsboro got a little cold and didn't want to show up there. Our sensor must be down. We're at 43 currently in Rocky Mount. We get down, though, tonight into the low to mid 20s to the north and then close to 30, but not quite there for the rest of us. So as you're headed out tomorrow morning, another start to have the winter coat, all of the winter gear, but the afternoon temperatures should start to feel a little bit better compared to today. It'll be a nice day, I would say, all in all. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds about lunchtime in the near 50, and then then 55 by the time we get through tomorrow afternoon. 7 o'clock in the evening, though, we're right about 46. So again, once that sun goes down, things get cold into the evening. Let's talk about, though, kind of just the all over the place temperatures for the next 5 days. We should be at 59 for this time of the year. We're going to be below that tomorrow. We go up, though, into Tuesday and Wednesday. That is ahead of another strong cold front coming through. You see that drop there from Wednesday into Thursday. That's behind the cold front. And then we go back up into Friday. This is a very typical pattern for us this time of the year. But when we get these fronts, we get those kind of different air masses. It can lead to the potential for some strong storms. And that's something we're watching for Wednesday. That's going to be our next weather maker coming through. Let's talk about this system. We start us off here on Futurecast at about 5 o'clock in the evening, in late afternoon, I should say, heading into the evening. The rain will still be to our west. It's going to approach us, getting closer to the Wednesday morning commute. You notice there by about 2 a.m., though, still to the west. This gets closer to us. I do think at this point we will need the rain gear to start our Wednesday morning. The good thing, though, with this timing, if this were to hold, it would be coming in before the afternoon, before the daytime heating that could lead to some instability for storms to form. There's 2 o'clock, and most of this system is already pushing out by that point. We go closer to the evening commute, just a couple stray showers still hanging on there. But this scenario, if it were to verify, and I do think this model is doing a good job of showing that, would really limit our severe potential. This map is put out by the Storm Prediction Center. What they are saying there in that shaded yellow is that there is a possible severe risk, which there is. There's still a potential for a few strong storms. If we were to see any, it would be in the form of some damaging wind gusts. This does not look like a tornado threat at this point. And this is that reason why. Here's how much energy or lack thereof that we have. Watch what happens as we go to about 10 a.m. Wednesday morning. When those storms are trying to push through, there is virtually no energy to work with. We need that to get strong storms. By the time we get through the afternoon, there's a little bit, but most of the rain will be out of here by that point, and there's still not much storm kind of fuel. So just keep checking back. We'll fine tune that. But I think for now, we're looking at still some windy conditions and a few showers coming through. 68 there on Tuesday. We go to 55 by Thursday, and Julian, much needed rainfall still continuing into next weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks, Anthony. Luis Fernandez is live at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh tonight. Hey, Luis.
Hey, Julian. Yep, Hurricanes playing the Calgary Flames behind me. But I want to talk about women's basketball for a second. It's the final day of the regular season for ACC women's basketball. NC State a champion. Heartbreak for UNC. All that and more next in sports. Welcome to just outside the Lenovo Center. Behind me, the Hurricanes are facing the Calgary Flames. Right now, we're in the second period, and the score is 0-0. The Hurricanes lost last night to Edmonton. We got a bunch of college basketball to talk about here, but I want to start by staying here in Raleigh. Since trading for Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall, the Hurricanes have played 11 games. They've gone 4-7 in that stretch. By no means is that putting the blame on those players, but the Hurricanes are taking time, seeing positive results from that move. Rantanen, to his credit, has had points in back-to-back games. Hurricanes will travel to face Detroit on Tuesday night before playing 4 straight home games. Remember, or perhaps a chance to find their groove. Remember, the NHL trade deadline is less than a week away. It's Friday, March 7th. And don't forget, the road to the Stanley Cup playoffs is coming right through your living room live on WRAL. Watch the Canes battle it out against the Boston Bruins, who are fighting for a playoff spot in the East. You can watch the game on Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on WRAL. It's the final game of the regular season for ACC women's basketball. There was plenty up for grabs in the top 5, including the Wolfpack, who, with a win, would lock up the number 1 seed for the ACC tournament and a share, at least, of the ACC regular season title. Let's go to the game. NC State up early. Zoe Brooks with a hezzy and tough finish. She's been on a tear. 19 points against the Mustangs. Speaking of 19 points, Isaiah James takes a second, step back. The 3 is good. Wolfpack up 24-9 at the end of the first quarter. SMU cuts it to 11 points in the third, but NC State was too much. Sanaya Rivers rebound and layup. She had 4 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists. Isaiah James from the corner. And check out this play from Zoe Brooks. She's going to go behind the back to James for the layup. NC State wins 69-45, locks up the number 1 seed and a share of the ACC regular season title. Carolina fighting for a double bye at home. Lexi Donarski gets the scoring started. This three is good. Later in the first quarter, India Navarre working the fast break, finds Donarski in the corner again, and it's good again. She's excited about it. Virginia calls a timeout. How about Maria Gokdang gets this one to fall? UNC led by as many as 18 in the first half, but Virginia scores 48 points in the second half, spoiling senior day for the Tar Heels. 78-75, the final. So what does this all mean for the ACC standings? Well, like I said, NC State locks up the #1 seed in the women's basketball conference tournament. Notre Dame at 2. And then it's a bit of a mess. Duke and Florida State are playing each other right now. And then UNC, Louisville, they are sitting there at 5 and 6, waiting to see what happens there. We're going to have a full breakdown of the bracket when that goes official, plus highlights from the game going on behind me, Julian, and Luis Fernandez, in Raleigh, Luis Fernandez, WRAL Sports.
All right, thanks, Luis, and thank you for joining us. Have a good night. We'll see you later on this evening.